thank you for 50,000 subscribers. Honestly, I thought it would take much longer to get here. What should we call ourselves? Let's see, the Lavender Army? Candleheads? The Penis Platoon? Yeah, probably not that one. The last few videos have been a smidgen too serious for my liking, so today I've got something short but fun, just like my dick. Judging by my analytics, you guys are really interested in the corn industry and corn addiction. Well, so am I. There's a lot of, I guess you could say, tricks the adult film industry employs to get the money shot. Tricks that seem to line up the orgasms of both partners, perspectives that make everything in the shot look bigger than it actually is. Really clever tactics to get you to watch. So I thought it'd be fun to go through some of these tricks. Not only do I just find them immensely interesting, but hopefully we can all learn something along the way. Being a corn star is not as exciting as it looks. Shocker. And I'm here to tell you why. Fake rulers. If only I could have one of these in the bedroom. Look, babe, 18 inches. And, okay, to that one guy I'm fighting in the comments who claims to know a guy with an 18-inch pepperoni roller, I got bad news for you, pal. Anyway, believe it or not, some corn sets will actually get the prop department to create fake rulers that are just a little smaller than normal. All they do is take a normal-sized ruler, scale it down a bit, and voila, that's it. So why go through all of this effort? When would you actually need something like this? You know, it's for one of those videos where the suspiciously attractive mathematician takes a protractor to her suspiciously old-looking student's penis.
You're under arrest, Nimrod.
This is probably one of the easiest tricks since the ruler is scaled down just enough to where you wouldn't be able to notice. And that's why any of this works. As you'll see with more of these tricks in the video, size is relative. So of course the dick is gonna look huge against a tiny ruler. Anything would. Honestly, it's a clever trick. I genuinely want to know who came up with this insane idea. Loose grip on the duck.
Firmly grasp it!
So this one can be pretty easy to catch depending on the video you're watching. If it's a POV, it's easier to hide since you're only seeing the giving individual's fingers. Giving meaning the one who gives. Yeah, you get it. Do you? How do I put this without getting demonetized? When someone's playing baseball, they'll often get a looser grip on the bat, and it makes the bat look bigger. This is effective because a lot of people judge whether you're big or not purely based on if you can wrap your entire hand around the baseball bat, which is kind of insane because if you weren't able to, you'd have to be like at least 6.5 inches, maybe 7 around, which maybe describes 200 people on Earth total. Not that it doesn't happen, but that's closer to an actual soda can, for those of you wondering. That would be painful. This particular trick has got to be hard to pull off because it's not like the average viewer isn't acutely familiar with how a hand is supposed to grip a baseball bat, right? Seriously, really pay attention to their hands in the video you're watching. I guarantee you they have an incredibly loose grip on that thing. Prosthetic penises. Yes, apparently this is a real thing. I'll be honest, I always suspected this for a lot of videos that I've seen, but I thought you could only get away with it for those porn videos filmed in 2005 on an iPhone 2. 240p video coming right up. Like, no, but seriously, the fact that there's actually a market for these is wild. What is it? Well, it's exactly what it sounds like. Fake male genitalia. Looks just like the real thing. And now we finally get to the point in the video where I can actually cite and take direct quotes from some of my research. I did slightly modify this section to have a better flow. Originally, it said things like, quoted by, da-da-da-da, but I link all of my sources at the end of the video. So if you want to see who actually said what, I want to give you that power, so it's in the sources. A lot of these are direct quotes from the research. Prosthetic penises are made in a similar way to facial prosthetics, with the exception of how much plasticizer and oil used for flexibility is in the silicone-based formula. If said porn video calls for a permanent erection and doesn't require much movement, less plasticizer is used. If it's supposed to be soft, the plasticizer to silicone ratio is substantially higher. From start to finish, the process takes about 3 weeks. beginning with the creation of a life cast or a three-dimensional copy of the actor's groin and leg area. Once it's ready to go, there are a few ways to attach the prosthetic. It can be glued onto the actor. It can be worn with a belt or strap-on device. And there's also techniques that are a combination of both. Sometimes there are caverns, if you will, that allow it to pull on like a sock. After the fake penis is applied, makeup is used to blend the piece to the body, just as you would with prosthetics in a typical Hollywood film production. It's actually pretty interesting, I think, learning about how it's all made. But the inevitable question is, why would you use a fake duck? Is it just to exaggerate size? Well, surprisingly no. Why go fox? Foul? Why go fake? First and foremost, actor comfort. Second, fewer complications. Using a prosthetic means you don't have to stop filming for any unscripted changes in the organ size or shape over the course of hour-long shoots. The appearance of this particular appendage also plays into character design. With a prosthetic, you can, quite simply, control what it looks like. Have it a little bigger, a little smaller. Or maybe you're like 90% of people who are dead average. Ultimately, it's going to come down to the intended purpose. If the penis has to function in some way, it needs to be fake. You don't do erect ducks and real sex. There's a sock over it. There's also an intimacy coordinator that handles all of this. It's a very protected thing. For example, in the series Euphoria, the character of Cal, played by Eric Dane, is seen urinating in his front entryway using a prosthetic. In an earlier episode, however, there are shots of a young Cal showering in a locker room and multiple real ducks are on display. Never seen Euphoria, but seems like a weird show. If he's younger and they show his... We're moving on. So size is definitely a factor, but it's not the only factor. Ever wondered whether the schlong you're looking at is real or not? Well then, it's time to play. 5 ways to spot a fake ding-dong. It's not a game, there's no competition element, I just thought it'd be funny if I called it a game. Number 1. It's too reflective when it's wet. Oof, rookie mistake there. Sometimes these things just look like straight up rubber. Hey, I can almost see my reflection in that one. Number 2. It's impossibly gigantic. Oftentimes, it feels as if those designers forgot about girth, because an obviously fake duck is usually way too long to be supported by its girth. Like, holy hell. If we've got a length of, let's say, a reasonable 13 inches, and the girth is the regular old 4.5, here's what that looks like against the global average. Like, how does this thing not snap in half when she goes to suck it? Very confused. Number 3, there's no scrotum, ballsack, nuts. Oops, looks like someone wasn't paying attention in anatomy class. This is one of the classic blunders because, you know, last time I checked, there's supposed to be some kind of nutsack there, and it's just gone. Poof, gone from your reality. Wait, better question. If this man has no sack, where does the pina colada come from, Number 4, there's a clear outline between the crotch and the bottom of the stomach. Yeah, normally you'd apply some kind of makeup to that area to cover this separation, but it's an HD video, and it can be easy to spot. And finally, number 5, you never see the underside of it. Yeah, very clever. If you can see the underside of the shaft, then it's usually real. Not all the time, but usually. We'll find out later in the video exactly why this is the case. But yeah, the only exception to this rule is if the video in question doesn't involve ejaculation of any kind, then it might be possible. Fisheye lens. Now this is a very fun one. Look, I may be in film school, but that doesn't mean I know how these kinds of lens works. So, according to Wikipedia, a fisheye lens is an ultra-wide-angle lens that produces strong visual distortion intended to create a wide panoramic or hemispherical image. Fisheye lenses achieve extremely wide angles of view, well beyond any rectilinear lens. Instead of producing images with straight lines of perspective, fisheye lenses use a special mapping, which gives images a characteristic convex non-rectilinear appearance. See, this one's a fun one because I can actually show you what it looks like. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1... And I'm ready for the casting couch. Unlike prosthetics, which are typically employed to enhance the male figure, fisheye lenses accentuate curves, so they're often used when a female body is in frame, usually an extreme close-up on the chest. This is another technique heavily utilized by POV-style videos, where you are made to be the receiving man in said film. It's from his perspective. Fisheye lenses can range from the subtle to the dramatic. There's a certain genre of videos that uses very dramatic fisheye lenses that I am intimately familiar with, pun intended. It was enough for me to first learn what the term meant from these videos. Like, they're not even trying to hide it, it's so dramatic. Most specifically, I can tell you what kinds of videos use this technique with just 2 letters. Yep, I think we all understand. Perspectives that make the foreground look bigger. You'd think it would be relatively easy to find information on this one online, but no dice. I won't be able to cover this in extreme length, but that's okay. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. There are certain shots that can make the foreground look bigger, creating a sort of natural fisheye lens that's not so dramatic. No special equipment required. Which shots, or more accurately, which positions? Let's just say riding a horse backwards is one of those positions, and it's popular for a reason. Gives the man an incredible view. But hold up, all you eager beavers. This kind of position is notoriously difficult to pull off, unless you're some kind of Olympic gymnast. All joking aside, please be careful if you actually attempt this in real life. If you're not careful, improper dismounting can cause penile fracture. Fake ejaculate. I recognize this subject in particular can be viscerally disgusting for some people, so skip to this timestamp. So skip to this timestamp if you'd like to avoid it. But yes, you read the header correctly. A lot of that genetic material is just straight up not real. There's a few reasons why, and they're actually pretty simple. When you think about it, using a stand-in substance just makes sense. Because using fake ejaculate relieves male porn stars of the pressure to bust a nut at the right time, the right place, and in the right direction, which makes for a better corno in the end. I know I keep flipping between corn, the other one, duck, the other one. I don't mean to, I'm sorry. Anyway, male corn stars, as well as men in general, tend to reach climax more quickly than their female counterparts. There's a position on the adult film set called an intimacy coach, and this sort of thing is their job, to make sure the guy finishes at the right time. So we can chalk reason 1 up to better nut control, and call it a day. So if it's not real, then what is it? According to several of my sources, it's a substance called methylcellulose. It's a hydrophilic bulking agent that's used in super old lubes, sci-fi films as an alien slime, and old people who suffer from irregular bowel movements. Oh, it's a laxative if you eat it. Can you imagine, like a new corn star walking onto the set and accidentally consuming this stuff during the shoot? Yes, shitting yourself would have put a wrap on a filming day pretty quick.
Pooping is my favorite part of the day.
My source says it's specifically a formulation called F50, and then you mix it with water to get the consistency they're looking for. It's also used in culinary applications and dyed various colors when other kinds of films need a satisfactory goo-like substance. But it's been a mainstay in the corn industry for decades now. You can also mix it on site. Again, imagine you're a PA on a film set. Hey Dennis, go stir the cum. So if you're looking for different consistencies depending on the scene, it's also good for that. My source here says that the widespread use of this material has been contested, though, with many actors in the industry claiming they actually use Cetaphil, since it looks exactly like the real thing. This is an actual quote, too. It looks just like cum, porn star Johnny Sins told Vice. But it doesn't taste that great. Johnny, are you tasting it? I haven't, seen your work, admittedly, but I thought you were a straight actor? You know, whatever. It's a funny story about Johnny Sins, actually. When I was in high school, we had an annual dodgeball tournament, and one year, another team, not my team, another team named their squad the Johnny Sins Army. Greatest thing they ever did. And they got away with it, hook, line, and sinker. Because what teacher is gonna stand up and protest that? Who wants to out themselves like that? It was genius. Apparently, pina colada also works as a yummy substitute. Yeah, remember I called it that earlier? That wasn't a mistake, it's a real thing. Doesn't taste horrible, so it can be held in the mouth. And it does an alright enough job in still pictures. It's a simple solution. It doesn't get used very often anymore, however, since there's really no purpose in having fake ejaculate around if you can't do absolutely any kind of scene with it. The sugars in the mix contribute to yeast infections if they are left on the vagina, so it just isn't widely used that much anymore. Now, if for any reason you are inspired to use artificial semen in the bedroom, do not, I repeat, do not, put soap or food products such as Cetaphil or Pina Colada mix inside your partner, because it will not end well. Do not do it.
Don't do it!
To cap off this admittedly hard to get through segment, there's been a new invention in the world of fake ejaculate, Magic Money Shot. Their flagship product, KUM, was specifically formulated to be the exact same consistency and color of the real thing, and even edible and flavorable to boot, making it the new IT product of the adult industry. They even made a strawberry flavor. Honestly impressive. From the director's point of view, their product is practically 100% identical to the real thing, and comes at an affordable price point. Also, it is water-based and doesn't stain any equipment that it gets on. Also, the actors are happy because it's a plant-based product that doesn't taste absolutely god-awful. And I will not independently verify this, but according to this article, they even make their own brand of squirting dildos and spray bottle applicators to make any scene a reality. Amazing. What a great article this is. Although I'm afraid to click this hyperlink at the very end. Help. Okay, one last thing. That's how the actual material is made, but how is it actually applied in the film? Basically, what I want to know is, what kind of Rube Goldberg machine did they set up for that shot? Well, one way is to rig a tube and IV bag system to the underside of the shaft, and that poor PA will squeeze the bag at just the right time. Dennis, squeeze the cum bag. Of course, you can also shoot it through a prosthetic penis, if that's easier on Dennis. Porn studios hope that you're focusing on the girl and not the member, so this usually works out pretty well. To actually finish off this article, you'd be surprised how often realistic-looking ejaculate, squirting, and fake ejaculate are used in the adult industry. I realize that sentence probably made no sense, but it's too late now. While you'd think that going natural is the way to go, the human body is largely unpredictable, and you always need to have something on standby. When every second on set costs hundreds of dollars, when you factor in the cost of equipment and wages. Remember, these actors might not be doing their first shoot of the day, and professional porn actors can't really finish on demand. So some inventive thinking is going to be required. Very petite girls. This one's pretty straightforward. As I said, size is only relative. So in order to make something look big, they have to set it against something that's unusually small. A lot of these girls are just very short. Of age, of course, just itty-bitty. The thing about this one is it's not super easy to pull off. Camera angles are very important here because certain body parts are going to shatter the illusion. Only the man's member can be in the frame, really. Otherwise, you're going to compare it to the size of his hand, his arm, or even his legs. And the viewer is going to see right through that. The sponge. I admittedly never even thought about this problem, but apparently it does happen. What happens when a woman on a corn set gets her period? Hey, anyone else concerned that everything on this list is just trying to prevent normal human function? Just me? Well, apparently, they will often take a small makeup sponge and insert it into the vagina to soak up the blood. If you use a tampon, the strings will be visible. And we can't be breaking continuity here. That's not acceptable. The sketchy website I'm reading from reads like this. The tricky part of this method is getting the sponge out after getting... yeah. Not the nicest way they could have put that, but okay. I wouldn't try this one at home. And you know what? While we're on the topic, why don't you just go ahead and not try any of this at home? Like, don't even take any of this advice. Don't inject yourself with any mysterious elements. Don't shove a sponge up your ass. Yeah. Really high IQ advice here at Lavender Coffee. Fake orgasms. Oh no, it can't be true. But it is. The unfortunate truth none of us wants to face. Most female porn actresses know that behind the camera, most orgasms are faked, unfortunately. Women do not usually finish as quickly and as reliably as their male counterparts. So, when it's a necessary part of the scene, the actress has to just fake it. This means that some of those leg-shaking, eye-rolling, screaming orgasms you see are not real. That's actually not surprising, ever. Unfortunately, this trick isn't one exclusive to porn. Ladies, you know what I mean. Squirting is just pee. This one's kinda obvious if you think about it for more than like 3 seconds. Like, this is a very specific bodily reaction that is in no way going to be done reliably. Personally, this is a very common thing advertised in corn that I just do not understand. I mean, someone out there's got to enjoy it, otherwise it wouldn't exist. Regardless, what you know as squirting is really just urine. And most people who work behind the camera in corn studios know this. Since the woman needs to do this on demand, she often just pees. Wow. So, next time you see that gush of liquid from that specific region, you know what it actually is. Someone call up that one Rick and Morty writer that likes to write about Summer peeing herself. They're gonna love this. The money shot is filmed first. You might have already figured this out using context clues, but yeah, the money shot is always done right away. You know, that one shot you're scrolling through the video to find just so you can bust the nut. Just like a real film shoot, things aren't filmed in order, and oftentimes the best shots are often the most complex and the most painful for actors and actresses to hold for an extended period of time. Hilariously, this can create some very obvious continuity errors. Wait, he was full mast in this shot, now he's only half chub, what happened? Point is, erections and ejaculations are unreliable, which is why doing this first is just smart planning. ED pills. Just like a regular old Hollywood production, the shoots can last for hours, sometimes up to 7 of those hours. Directors have to cut, edit, and ripple delete their way to a finished product. And that means one thing: continuity. The continuity has to be as close to correct as possible, and an erection famously should not last more than 4 hours. If it does, call your doctor. How do these men stay stiff? Viagra. Lots and lots of Viagra, and maybe Cialis. Taking performance-enhancing drugs is one of the most common ways male talent solve erection problems. For example, Cialis is a PDE5 inhibitor, which is a potent vasodilator and erectile dysfunction drug. This means that the drug promotes blood flow into the penis, and voila, you're full mast. So, even when the male performer isn't feeling it, the drug makes it stay erect. You think having a boner is so great? Now imagine you're not allowed to not have a boner. Permanent morning wood. Ouch. While these ED drugs are technically effective, there's lots of potential drawbacks. And paradoxically, those drawbacks will specifically inhibit the male actor's ability to perform, because of course they do. Difficult ejaculation, irregular heartbeat, chest pain, sudden hearing loss, upset stomach, sudden vision loss, flushed cheeks, splitting headaches, dizziness, nausea, exploding cum. Wait, that last one's not real, right? Penile injection therapy. Not satisfied with the potential dangers of Viagra? Some performers in the adult industry resort to penile injection therapy. This involves administering drugs directly into the penile tissue to make it stay hard. Syringe in the stem, yep, right there it is. One of the most common medications is Caverject, alprostadil. Another such drug is Trimex, a mixed solution containing aprostadil, paparavine, and phentylamine. Oh my god, I'm a wizard. I just pronounced all those on the first try. Another such drug is Trimex, a mixed solution containing alprostadil, papaverine, and phentylamine. According to the American Society of Health System Pharmacists, these drugs are injected 5 to 20 minutes before intercourse takes place. The resultant erection usually lasts for up to an hour, and such a time frame can be enough to get in several takes while shooting a corn scene. But of course, there are some slightly negative side effects: fast heartbeat, fainting, bleeding at the site of injection, burning sensation throughout the urethra, testicular pain, reddish hue spreading across the duct, swelling and abnormal curve of your penis. So basically, you've injected bombastium straight into your dick. Penile implants. Sometimes, neither of these two options is enough. Well, you don't want to mess up the production schedule, do you? To keep their standing as reliable professionals, many performers resort to surgery and implants. If you can't keep it up, physically prop it up with a rod straight into your thing. We want to completely remove the possibility of going flaccid here. So, just like using pills or injections, guys using implants to get through a scene are likely to face some undesirable medical consequences. These include infection in the duct post-surgery, excessive bleeding post-surgery, constant pain for 3 months after the operation, complete malfunction of the implant, formation of scar tissue, and for dessert, considerable injury to surrounding organs like the urinary bladder and colon. Friends, I might be crazy, but I don't think any of these options are a good idea. Insanity, I know. So, what can we do to save our erections instead? You can cut back on alcohol, slow down on your own corn consumption, and eat watermelons. Wait, watermelons? Oh wait, here it is. This fruit contains a substance called L-citrulline, which triggers the release of nitric oxide. This chemical improves blood circulation by widening arteries in the genitals. Many high-quality sexual health supplements for men contain this ingredient. Ah, gotcha. Wow. I mean, holy crap, what an incredible journey we just completed. What was the point of any of this? I wanted to show you that your porn addiction is not your fault. At least, not entirely. Porn hacks your brain using all of these tricks, and it can make you feel like shit for not having triple F cups or an 11-incher. Most of that shit is fake, so don't feel bad. You're literally comparing yourself to someone who doesn't actually exist. And you might say, candles? Of course none of this real. Did you just now figure that out? You idiot? Look, you and I both know little Timmy is watching it too because his parents and his educators just don't give enough of a shit to give him the talk. And he thinks it's real. He thinks everything on that website is true. I know this because I was little Timmy 10 years ago. No kid should ever have to go through a mental state like that. And that's why I made this video. Please understand, no matter how big you are, no matter how unskilled you think you are, you're absolutely perfect for at least one person in this world. You just have to find them. So, thank you for watching this video. Like the video if you enjoyed, subscribe for more videos, and follow our Discord server and Instagram if you would like to. I love you all. Good night.